So in this session, we are going to look at the branches of philosophy and then also look at the philosophical schools of thought. I am Wilbur Sebuyungo Chivekayunga. So one of the branches of philosophy is the branch called metaphysics. This word metaphysics is a pairing of two words, one meta and the other physics. Uh, the word meta means too much in one. Others say beyond, beyond, beyond imagination. Then physics means existence, or occurrence, something physical, physics. So this means that physics, what is existing, but also matter beyond existence. So it handles two, what we can see in existence or reality and beyond reality. So this branch of philosophy investigates the principles of reality that actually can be transcending or transforming into science. Here in metaphysics, we ask, for example, the nature of the reality. What is the nature of the things in existence? How are they? So we look at um, how they are and what actually makes them to be like that. Why mountains are like that going up there? Why not a depression? So what makes them be like that? Now that's the metaphysicist will go and find out how, what is behind making the what? The mountain to be elevated to that extent. And why are some shorter than the other but not on the same level, not the same height? The nature of objects, but we also extend this branch of philosophy to asking them about abstract things. Abstract meaning what generally may not be seen by your eyes or touched, but actually exists. Like someone says here there are some molecules, and in space here there are molecules, but you cannot see and touch them. So metaphysics will always be asking, why isn't this wall falling? And what can make it fall? How much energy should one use to make it fall? And if it's in these countries we were experiencing the tsunamis, and then you find someone, what's the magnitude of the tsunami and which wall can we build to resist and withstand? Here we also seeing archaeology. In archaeology, that branch is about values, explorers values. So actually the study of values is archaeology. It is from this branch that we have values and ethics. What makes values of one society differ from another society? Why should the people of some places call their staple food to be millet, not matoke? And that if a meal does not have that food, then it is not a good meal. Yet others say if matoke misses, then it is not. What makes values differ from one society to another? That one's attitude towards a pig is really not good, and yet another one wants to tame it and even make it a pet. I've seen some countries where people have pets, pigs as pets, and the values differ. If someone visited that home and found a pig is a pet, will never return there because the value. What makes them different? That is what this branch inquires and seeks. Why should some learners in my class want to play, yet others don't, and want music? So what actually makes certain things right and others perceived to be wrong? When you go to the West, kneeling down is wrong. To greet, to respect somebody, you sit with the lady and then he, he stands and say, that is okay. And then in some communities here, which are very strict on the value of respect means kneeling, people can even divorce over it. So what actually makes that people perceive certain things to be right and others to be wrong? So this will create what we call standards. When you set, people start to say this is what is right and this is what is wrong, then they start to set up what we call the standard, upon which they measure what is right from what is not right. So this is archaeology. Remember, each of the branches here, uh, each branch has questions, has philosophical questions. So you need to note it. I'll share with you a resource where each branch there are philosophical questions, possible philosophical questions, but you can even learn about that branch and create your own philosophical questions in the classroom. And then you'll also see each branch has its relevance and the fields it can contribute to. This is aesthetics. When you hear the word aesthetics or aesthetic, it means beauty.
It means beauty.
Yes. Something is artistic, it is beautiful, then it is aesthetic. So this branch of philosophy investigates what causes beauty.
To what?
Hmm?
To us human beings.
What to nature and people. And so you will find that some people are in places which they think are beautiful, and they are good places which other people when they go they say that is not really beautiful. You find somebody has has chairs he has spent a lot of money to buy, and when you go to check on them, you see they are really not chairs worth to spend the money on, but the person has been looking for them that long. Why? This one asks what causes beauty, and you will even we call it zonation. Zonation, that you go to some places and find that there are some kinds of plants that are there, and when you exceed you find another layer of related plants that are there. Over here you can look at a beautiful greenery over the hill, as though someone planned to plant them that way. What causes it to be? About art. So in art, those people who are good in art is what they call abstract art. You look at and you're studying art. You did it. What is in abstract art? Abstract, you've seen trees. Someone draws trees, but in that tree puts a face of a person. Then you ask, are they trees or is a face of a person? Or it's like there is a road towards the face of a person. So something abstract is you cannot easily define it, but you can define some of it, and that's abstract. There is also realism in art, where you find somebody has drawn a person, really is a person, and is holding a poster, and that is what that is the poster of that school. It is actually a child holding a poster. That's realism. In idealism, someone can come up with something that is he just perceives it as a story and make it. You look at it and imagine, get an idea. So this is about art and the beauty. So people who take this branch, you find them in theaters, you find them in galleries, arts, organizing the ambiances and making things look beautiful basing on the culture. Those people. That is a. This branch is called epistemology. The study of knowledge is epistemology. So, epistemologists are specialists in knowledge. And so, this branch you deal with the knowledge. It is not like metaphysics where you talk about things which are there and are in existence, the reality. So in a knowledge, you can define something, and so you want people to perceive it that way, though it is not necessarily it. Like you create a definition that you want people to know what you want people to know, though it may not be there for them to see. That is knowledge. So in here we ask what makes knowledge to be considered false and others consider some knowledge to be true. So which knowledge is false and which one is true? You'll find that when you write your book and there is knowledge you want to pass, there are some countries where to say this one we cannot read it. When they read through, say this one for us we don't read it. We can't even uh, share such knowledge in our school, in our schools. Even here,
It's content.
yes,
Analyze it.
yes,
They refuse it.
they refuse it. There is a story in one of the books the teacher told me that the story was telling that the boy got married to another boy, and they are doing well, they are happy. So when the teacher read that story, most of the times those books are given free of charge, but not all free of charge books are passing on knowledge not acceptable in communities. Then the teacher said, now let us put off all these books and ban them. Yeah. They are passing on knowledge which is not true. So what is considered to be true and what is considered not to be true. For example, in Buganda, you cannot say tato muto or tato mukulu. It is not there.
So,
You can't say tata muto, tata mukulu, younger father or elderly father.
I know
You say father, tata, but tata, ono tata, ono tata. So you consider that when you start to differentiate them that way, then you are isolating or you're discriminating. You'll find more details in there. Now there is a branch of philosophy logic called logic, which is about reasoning. You'll find it in the resource I will share with you. Then the branch of politics, which looks at governance systems. Those branches are also there. Now here we're looking at the philosophical views about curriculum. Sorry, about education, because education is similar to curriculum. You cannot have curriculum without education, or education without curriculum. It is philosophy now that is giving birth to what education should take on, and that's what curriculum should also adopt. One of the schools of philosophy, you will see one of the schools of philosophy called perennialism. Uh, okay. In philosophy, wherever you see the word, the suffix is a word you add, is a portion of the word you add at the end of another. When you see a suffix, ism here on words, give those words much attention, because ism means that is a philosophy. Besides, apart from words which are like purism, which are naturally, their nature, they have ISM. But where you see ism added to a word, it means it is a philosophy. Pause a little while and for example, words like socialism, from the word social, dualism, pluralism, those are philosophies. So it means that they have more meaning inside there than we can see. So one can dig deeper. So when we have, for example, a philosopher, he is a philosopher, and he is also a philosopher, and that philosopher has people following him. That one forms what we call a school of philosophy. And if she has a philosophy, an idea, she believes that idea is what works, and there are people following, then you call that also a school of philosophy, which others call philosophical views or a philosophy. However, so we say that is having a school of philosophy and others are agreeing with him because their views are intersecting. They are not colliding or they are not diverging. And so it is to her. Those views have intersection. And then we've seen that when philosophers belong to a common school of thought, then we call them convergent philosophers because their philosophies converge. They have a common point of intersection. But when his school, the views do not agree with her school, then they diverge. The two philosophers diverge from one another. We call them divergent philosophers. So we don't necessarily say that they don't act, they are wrong philosophers. You don't say it is a wrong philosophy or an invalid philosophy. It's only that the other philosophy does not work, does not agree with your philosophy. Like in countries where you find socialism and other countries capitalism, for you can say their way is invalid and wrong. You find people are very happy there. And then in the capitalistic environment, they are also happy there. So how they handle the philosophy varies. But of course, there are some philosophies which some communities perceive that those are not philosophies to adopt. So literally, when two or more convergent philosophers meet divergent philosophers, they form what we call a conflicting philosophy. They now start to argue with one another, like being a capitalist with a socialist. And then you're saying it is good to share. The other one says sharing which resources, who has made what to share. It is me. So they share on my labor. They will argue the whole day. We call it conflicting. They are conflicting philosophers, and their philosophies, we say they are conflicting philosophies. Now, there are four schools here we're going to see. One of the schools is the school of perennialism. This school of perennialism was proposed by John Locke. So John Locke lived in the 1632 and 1704, those years, and John Locke was the head teacher of this school. That's why he spearheaded it. So there are many other scholars who agreed with him. Now, in the school of perennialism, like the word perennial sounds, one of the assertions they assert that human beings are born plain and empty, and that it is the environment that writes itself on the minds of those people. That if you give birth to a child, the mind has nothing. In German, tabula rasa. Is it true? Then there you've just saying no. You've started to conflict. with the philosophy.
Divert.
Yes, your philosophy there is diverging from this philosophy. So
Now you mean when that you put that child in the bush to grow from there,
mm,
he or she will not be able to reason for certain things around because it is the community or the area where he or she lives that shapes or
mhm.
makes his mind grow up.
Is bringing this argument that if you put this child in the bush, that the child will not be able to reason like those who are not in the bush.
He will be able to reason.
The child will be able to reason.
Yes.
Mm.
But it's not wrong. The brain, that's like the brain has some things. How can I survive from this environment? Why is it that a newborn cries and knows that once you put something in the mouth, it has to stop?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the brain is not empty. Whatever demands something, the brain, he or she cannot utter out the word.
Okay.
It is uncomfortable to cry.
So
It's complicated.
this is what these philosophers believe. So in this school they narrated that human beings are the same, and therefore what they do should also be the same.
It's not wrong, but it's what?
Divergent. Is it okay? So these ones believe that what she can do, I can also do, and the same way. What you can know, I can also know.
It's true.
Hmm. So
Okay, meaning that they can take long to adopt it. It means that it is not true. If we are all picking it at the same time, it means we are the same.
now it's very good I'm having philosophers here. Now the perennialists noted that if they were noted by other scholars that for them they were autocratic. They just dictate what the person should have, because they believe that if a teacher does not stand in front of the learner, learning will not take place. Because the mind, what you put on the mind is what the mind will have. What you have not put on the mind will not have. Yes. So they came up with even a concept. I'm saying if we are to examine people, they should be examined given the same exam, the same question, because we taught them the same content, and thus we expect them to score the same grades. Everyone is expected to score 100%. 100%. And if we are to examine you, we also expose you the same hours, everybody. Those are perennialists. They also assert that the order of doing things is the same, but the rate of achieving results should also be the same. If we have given you the same order, put those chairs on the same line. If you spend 3 minutes, someone else should also come and spend 3 minutes doing the very thing. So if it is 2 hours, it's 2 hours doing the same thing. So at the end of those 2 hours, the activity should be completed just like any other person. Now, let's look at another school. That is the school of progressivism. Now, in this school of progressivism, it is a conflicting school with that of perennialism. Perennialism is a school that began the earlier philosophers. The progressivism come and say, no, things should not be the same, there should be progress. So they worked contrary to the perennialists, and that's why we refer to them as progressivists. And that they conflict with the earlier school. One of them is that they assert that human beings are not the same. First, let's say the first assertion where they said human beings are born plain and empty. These ones say human beings are not born plain and empty, but are born with a dot of mind. That is your school. So the environment just adds to what is already existing. We would even change this word here, it, to can that child. It is not good to use the word it in education, referring to a child or a baby. Babies are people, and therefore should not be referred to as it. This was an non-living things and animals, you can say it. So here, what makes a baby suckle the mother? If the baby was empty in the mind, someone asks about it, the philosopher here, who teaches that baby? Where does the baby get the idea? Can that baby actually, why do some babies actually cry? And who tells them to cry at birth? Some cry for food without teaching them that when there is no food or you're hungry, you cry. This is why these are challenging perennialists. And where does the child get all this knowledge? So, for them, they conclude this. A person is born with some knowledge to start life. To start life, the person is born with some knowledge. Now, on the other assertion, where they were saying that human beings are the same, the perennialists, and so what they do should also be the same. These ones also contradict it and say that human beings are not the same, and therefore what they should do should not also be the same. Yes. So what you do is mine. Yeah, different tasks. You've seen the person who was saying that why should you tell a fish to run with some, either a rat on the ground, and then you expect the fish to win? Eh? Because you're putting it in a wrong environment.
So the setting, for example, is as per now, is comprehensive.
Yes,
We have not reached progressively.
yes.
Are we going to reach there?
Now, that is, you are now the people who are occupying offices of education. When you ask, will we reach there? Now it is your responsibility to cause it.
That part
So,
becomes a little bit hectic because now you have to identify people with disabilities, then you celebrate that disability.
so each individual is ordained with a unique abilities and faculties. Faculties means gifts or abilities of people. If all people were the same, then who would render service to another? Mhm. So they also believe so they believe in individual what? Individual differences. People are different. So they say the rate of doing things can be the same, but the results cannot be achieved the same rate. So if he said this is a teacher would need to bear with some students, but help them to do well. In my school, in my primary school, I used to be slow. I'm up to today, I'm a little slower. I'm slower in action. And the teachers, one teacher saw that as my weakness. And then when we were given the task of weaving, we would do mold and weave. I know how to mold the baskets and weaving mats because we had to study them home and at school. So I was to mold, and all my friends completed molding. For me, I stayed there molding. Then the teacher said, "What are you still doing?" The other teacher came and looked at what I had molded and was good. Then he said, "It's slow, but sure." Yes, I was in my primary 3, but that thing I still remember it. I did it, but I did it well, though I took long to do it. But today, some people come to me, so those who have rushed to, for example, as well rushed and maybe has sent a file to URA and URA is penalizing. They are the ones that call me, come and check for us what we should do. That they rushed and they are getting the penalties. But they are relying on my slowness to. So not every child in your school should be very fast. You see some leaders in institutions, directors, they are not as fast as operators. And that's what helps them to guide these ones who are fast. So there should be those who are quick. There should also those who are moderate to manage the institutions. So here there is an assertion that human beings should not be the same, and thus the rate of achieving results should also not be the same. And so what they do should also not be the same. Yeah. So these ones are said to be democratic. They bear with people, some people. Yeah, you will make it. Please go ahead. Continue. If he's a teacher, we'll give and create a space for that learner to still do something, even though the time has passed. So the enable experience of we have rang the bell, now stop, stand up, hand in. So if these people were to assess learning, then their approaches would be progressive assessment. We consider what you have scored in several elements and credit you for some elements that this person is better, though has not done well with the other side, can do well here. And so we consider that as what you can do well. But the summative one, which is an assessment of the perennialists, you only consider the total at the end. So if at P7 you get a pass 8 and you are now F9 and you're now ungraded, they will not look at what you are doing in P6 and the good things you have done either in athletics or you have been a prefect for all that time. They will not recognize that, because for them they are just summative. They will give you ungraded or fail. In the language of progressivists, there is no word fail. They would rather say not yet. not yet, other than failed. Progressivists, a person can never fail. These progressivists, if a person got F9 in primary 7 in mathematics and at the university wants to teach mathematics, they will give the person the job joyfully. They will just tell you, teach, try to say, and we say, oh, teach. Because people are not the same all the time. People improve, they progress. Yet, perennialists, but you got an F9 in P7, then how can you teach mathematics? At least it would have been a credit theory. For them, they are summative. The order of doing things may be the same, but the rate of achieving results can differ. The third school is the school of essentialism. That is a philosophy also. So the philosophers that belong to this school are also called essentialists. The philosophy is essentialism. The philosophers are essentialists. Just as you hear the word essential, they believe in what is essential. So the first assertion, they say it is essential to convert knowledge into practice. It is essential to convert knowledge into practice. If you taught learners, they have read, they have written. So what? Are they going to be secretaries? Are you preparing secretaries who are going to read and write? These ones are saying no. People should should have things to do. Any education that passes on knowledge without practice is not essential. Therefore, theoretical studies have got to be turned into practical studies. So they ask a question. Of what value is theory without practice? So even examining learners, you examine them in practice. Instead of reading and instead of writing, you tell them to do. If you have taught about hygiene, they have painted the pictures of bathing when they are, but the learner is not actually bathing. Or in the book, the learner is bathing, but in life is not bathing. If the learner leaves papers there, but you've taught cleaning, hygiene, and then every end of lesson they litter, then the lesson is not yet effective. It is also essential to give relevant knowledge to people. Why should a person who is living in a desert country be, be taught fishing? Or the Canadian prairies to a person who is in Uganda? Is that knowledge relevant? This school says if that is what is being taught, then that education is not respecting the what? The philosophy of essentialism. So the students should not be exposed to knowledge that they cannot use in their lives and their communities. Uh-huh. So the first school is the school of Reconstructionism. The school of Reconstructionism, here, the school of Reconstructionism. Reconstructionism. From the word construct. So you in this school, just like you see the word is reconstruct. Okay. The scholars are called reconstructionists. Those are the philosophers. Which means wherever you see the word re, that word comes from the word repeat. Repeat construction, which we can say construct again. In this school, the philosophers in education and other fields believe that things, even plans, ideas, knowledge, and skills reach at a time when they become absolute. Absolute is like they expire and wear out, that they need to be studied and then improved. So, if improvement is not there, then the community may be ahead of education. Why? Because every day the community is discovering new things. If education does not go and see what the community is has come up as new knowledge, values, modification in values, skills, modifications in skills, then like these days the people are constructing using metallic pillars. Yet earlier years we were always taught timber, metallic pillars. So here, in this school, the scholars will believe that things go old, even curriculum and education can go old and older over time, and therefore education can become useless over time if it is not reviewed and improved. So when we review and find that there are certain unnecessary things in the curriculum or education, then it requires to construct a new curriculum, and also we can even dismantle and adopt a new trend that can match with the current needs, because the needs of the community are not static, but they are dynamic. They keep changing over time. Right? Even the social demands of people, they are dynamic. They keep changing over time, and thus education should also should keep changing too and getting improvement to embrace those changes. However, the reconstruction here we are saying, the word construction, the opposite for construction is what? Sorry? Is what? Destruction. Here, construction is for improvement. We've seen education that where there is a curriculum which they call LGBTQ, where people are taught that's normal to be homosexuals. Is that construction or destruction? So in reconstruction, we only look at what is right and proper for the population to adopt. Otherwise, it is a destruction. So here there are some more recommendations. For example, if we are to reconstruct, we see that social changes, political changes, and economic changes that are taking place, and then these changes are adopted within the what? The curriculum. And those changes should be good, the right changes that good for the community. And that's why it's for the good of the community. Yeah. What we don't say like buildings, we say renovation. If we are to create a new curriculum, we say it is innovation of the curriculum. Because it is curriculum which we adjust, then we adjust the methods also of education, then we have adjusted education. Maybe something you need to add is adjusting the what? The language. You change curriculum, improve methods, and also improve the language the teacher uses in delivering that curriculum. So this is the end of philosophy of education. For now, you add learning theories, what we call learning theories. If you are to cause learning, what theories do you have to front? I'm going to share with you a tutorial for learning theories, which is already available.